Hey there, everybody. Cathy McLeish here, alcoholic in recovery, been in recovery for 38 years now. I have a question for you. What's your trust level? What's your trust level with other people? I was in a situation the other day and I was really prone to think about, would I trust people if I were this person in the situation? And years ago, I would not. I would not. I had such a low level of trust. I was suspicious of everybody and everything. And there was a reason for that. There was a reason for that, and I'm not saying my reason is your reason, but my reason at the time was I was not trustworthy, and I could not say the truth. Sometimes I would lie when it was easier to say the truth. So if other people were speaking their truth to me, I was always suspicious of, was it actually the truth? So again, the other day, I'm in a situation and there's a person that's really thinking about getting and staying sober. And she has like 2 weeks and she's hanging by a thread and she's trying to figure out if this is the life she wants or if she's even got a problem with alcohol. And there's, a surrounding group of very gracious, sincere, recovering people, and they're just selling her their life story. And they're sharing what their experience was, how good it was when they finally realized that alcohol was the problem and not the solution. They were being honest about how low they had gone and what they couldn't see in their life as the truth, and how they came on the other side and realized that the people that they had experienced that were sharing their story were actually telling them the truth, and their life was a better life. So I think back to when I first wanted to recover. And actually, even that's a lie, because I wanted to get my spouse at the time, who was an alcoholic, just like me, raging alcoholic. I wanted to get him sober so that I could drink like a normal person. That was my thinking at that time. And denial is such a big part of alcoholism that my thinking was very skewed. And I thought that I drank normally because I didn't drink like he drank. And it was just two different types of alcoholism. I was drinking every day, all day long, thinking that was normal because I didn't pass out, I didn't throw up, I didn't leave and not come home. And yet I was just as much of an alcoholic as he was. So I am taking him to an atmosphere where he can hear other people tell their story and maybe he can decide not to drink. And at that time, I hear these people talking about their lives, talking about how they got away from a drink and stayed away from a drink and how much their life improved. And in my mind, I'm trying to think, are they lying? Are they telling the truth? Is that even really possible? Could you really be happy without alcohol? Would you really stay away from a drink for 2 months, 2 years? Did somebody say they had 15 years? That is crazy. And if you had that much time, why would you still be coming to these rooms and talking to other people about when you used to drink and how life changed and how good it is, at this time? Why would you do that? You must not have anything else to do with your life. So my level of trust was like so minimal that I'm like thinking, you're a liar, you're a liar, you're all liars, but I will smile and nod my head and let you think that I believe what you're saying. At the end of this, time where people were sharing their stories, a couple came up to us. So we were a couple, pathetic little couple, thinking about getting sober, and they gave us some literature. And the literature was, it was books, and it was, I'm like thinking somebody paid for this. So I was like, why would you give this to us? Did you buy this? And I opened up the cover of the book. It said a cost on the inside cover of the book. So they were like, yes, we did. And I'm like, whoa, what do you want from me if I take this book from you? Because I was living a life that nobody gave anything to anybody for nothing. There were always strings attached, because here's why. If I gave you something, there was a string attached. I was trying to manipulate you for some reason that would benefit my life. So I'm projecting all this on these other people, even though I don't realize that I am. And I'm suspicious of everybody's motives. They cannot have honest motives here. There's got to be some kind of string attached. Well, the couple said, we'd like to do this for you because somebody did this for us when we came, and we have had a really good life since we stopped drinking. So if we could help you to get there, we would like to do that. And so I took the book. And here's why I took the book. I took the book because at that point, I was helping them. They were not helping me. I was helping them to give back what had been given to them. So can you see how skewed this alcoholic's thinking was? I will allow you to help me if it helps you. Then I'm not the recipient of all this little pity party help and freebies. And, that's the way I was living my life. I could not be honest, so I could only assume that everybody else was stretching the truth or flat out lying. So I look at this person in this today's situation, and I think she really probably thinks we're lying, or at least we're fabricating some of the good stuff that is going on in our life. And it took a couple years for me to really reap enough benefits that I realized they were telling the truth. They were telling the truth. Now, did I reap small benefits pretty quickly? I really did. If you drank like I drank and you stopped drinking, my health improved, my weight dropped. I was taking in so many calories. I could answer the door, I could answer the telephone. I even opened up a little bit of mail. Back when I was drinking, mail came, and you know what? I stuffed it in a drawer. Does that make any sense? No, it doesn't. But that's the way I was living my life. I was like keeping life at a distance, and I was drinking as the problems just continued to pile up. As I started to move through my sober life, I can look back today in hindsight and see different markers of my dishonesty, of my inability to trust anyone, and even my lack of truth. And some of it was very conscious, and I knew what I was doing, and a lot of it was not. And I think there is this protective mechanism when we're in addiction that keeps us from seeing all of the truth until we can handle it piecemeal. Because if we saw the truth, the disastrous truth of what I was doing to my life and what I was doing to the people in my life, I would have quit. I would have either gone back to drinking, I would have wanted to die, I would not have been able to keep putting one foot in front of the other to move through the truth of my life. So I believe I was able or given the grace to just see it piecemeal as I was able to deal with it. So at different times, I might be in therapy and I might share something, and the therapist might say, could we go back over that and maybe you could try and be a little more truthful? And, honest to God, I'd be thinking, I don't know how much more truthful I could be, because at that point I couldn't be any more truthful. And so my ability to trust others was somewhat connected to my inability to really know and trust myself. And as I grew and saw the truth and accepted the truth about myself and tried to change, I was more willing to look at other people and give them the benefit of the doubt. Now, I will work with, coach with, mentor different women, and I give them that same grace, because there will be points in their story or in their struggles, and I can honestly see that they cannot see the truth of what is going on in their life. And that is okay, because we will grow and we will change. We have anesthetized ourselves and hidden from the truth, the painful truth, often sometimes that can be rooted even as far back as in our childhood. And we have not been able to, unpack that and put that out on the table and talk with it honestly about someone else. And that that is a process that we go through in recovery or in any kind of healing process if we're addicted or if something traumatic has happened to us in our life. So I will always, sometimes I will even say, can I tell you what I see? And then to gently tell a woman, like women told me, I think you could look at it this way. I think maybe you had this part in it. And then little by little, I start to accept this Cathy that had the answer of drinking instead of the Cathy that could maybe look at the truth about how she was acting, how she was dealing with things, and try to adopt a new way of living life, new habits, new choices that would make the outcome so much better than the outcome of pouring alcohol on any kind of conflict or problem or bad memory that I had in my life. Another thing I want to mention is there is such a balance when I start to see the truth about my life. And that balance comes with, who am I going to share that with? Who am I going to allow to help me unpack that truth and try to make some changes? Who can I trust? And there are, choices to be made. And at that time in my life, I invited a couple women into my life that I would share everything about myself with. And those were women that I saw and watched and I admired how they were living their life, how their relationships were working, how healthy or how admirable the way that they talked and acted and lived was. And so I would invite those people to be a part of my process. And there is a process. Anytime we stop with an addiction, there is always this underlying question of, why was that my choice? Why, when something happened and I didn't want to feel those emotions or work through that problem, why was food my answer? Why was that man pulled in to be my answer? Why was alcohol or drugs my solution at the time? There is a void that I have to look at and find so that I can have a different process. And I'm not pulling something in from without or something in from outside of myself to fix me. So these women who had already gone through that process themselves, they were still working on themselves, but they were already in the healing process, and they had identified different patterns they had in their life that they could share with me in my life. And I began to trust them and share. Now, as I come to trust myself, as I come to know myself more, and I share myself with a mentor, with a coach, with a therapist, maybe all three, I will know better how to discern my other relationships in my life. I will be in the middle of a group, like I talked about that girl being in a group of people that were sharing, and I will better be able to identify the truth of other people's stories or what they're sharing with me. And not always, because people are so complicated and people are, hard to see from the outside what is true, what is authentic, and what isn't. But I will better be able to have, some barriers, some boundaries, and then invite the people that I truly trust into my life so that I can keep building my own level of trust. If I surround myself with people that have similar principles, beliefs, and they're living life the same way as me or with similar values, then I'm more apt to grow in trust of other people and then also myself, because I'll be able to live authentically with these people, with these friends, with some of my family. If I continue to hang out with old people in old places and everything is compromised, my principles, my values, my truth, then I won't grow. In fact, I will still be suspicious whether I'm drinking or not drinking. I will still have, this doubt about the truth of what's going on around me. So in sobriety, in my life, changing and growing and trying to live by new principles and new values, one of the gifts has been I have learned to trust myself. And in learning to trust myself, I have better learned to discern and trust others. So if you are still drinking, if you are still in the middle of an addiction, the lesson or the message that I would like to share is give the people that are trying to help you. Give the people that are not trying to keep you in the problem but pull you towards a solution. Give them the benefit of the doubt that there might be truth in what they're saying. Trust that they might have no ulterior motives but to help you to grow and change and have a better, healthier life. And then maybe take the action that follows what they're saying or suggesting so that you might see something different happen in your life and have a better outcome without this, addiction every day running your life and stealing the joy and the promise that it was meant to have. Thanks again, Cathy McLeish, Alcoholism Unpacked. Please subscribe and follow and join me as we continue to raise awareness about alcoholism.